Hi, everyone. Listen to me very carefully right now. That person, the one whose name just flashed through your mind the second you saw this video, they've been carrying something heavy, something they haven't been able to tell you. And if you've been feeling this strange pull toward them lately, this unexplainable awareness of their presence in your thoughts, there's a reason for that. You need to hear what's really happening beneath the surface, because the silence between you, it's not what you think it is. Welcome back. It's Anna. And I know exactly why you clicked on this. You've been wondering, haven't you? What are they feeling? Do they think about what happened? Do they care at all? Take what resonates with you, leave what doesn't. But really listen to yourself as we move through this. Let me ask you something. Have you noticed lately, in quiet moments, this person keeps appearing in your mind, not in an obsessive way, just they're there. You'll be doing something completely ordinary and suddenly you're thinking about them, about a specific moment you shared, about something they said. It can feel random, like your mind is just wandering. But what if it's not random at all? Some people experience this as a kind of emotional echo. Like when someone is processing intense feelings about you, you can actually sense it on some level, not in a mystical way, but in that very human way where we're connected to people we've been close to. Here's what I'm sensing. You may be in a situation right now where someone who hurt you, someone who caused you pain, whether intentionally or not, is going through their own reckoning with what happened. And that reckoning, it's filled with emotions they didn't expect to feel. Regret, sadness, this ache of realizing, I handled that wrong. Let's sit with this for a moment because it's important, really important. When someone hurts you and walks away, there's often this assumption that they're fine, that they moved on easily, that they don't think about you or what happened. And sometimes, in the immediate aftermath, that might even be true. They might be in denial or justification or just numb, but time has a way of changing perspective. Distance has a way of creating clarity. It's possible this person is in that space now where the fog has lifted and they're really seeing what they did, how they showed up, how they failed you, and it's hitting them differently than it did before. Have you been sensing this shift? Comment below if this resonates. Here's what happens when someone starts to feel genuine regret. They replay moments, conversations, decisions. They think about what they should have said, what they should have done differently. And there's this growing weight of, I hurt someone who didn't deserve it. In some situations, this leads them to reach out, to try to make amends. But in others, they stay silent, not because they don't care, but because they're ashamed or scared, or they've convinced themselves you're better off without them. You may be dealing with someone who's in that second category right now, who's feeling everything but saying nothing. And that silence, it doesn't mean what you think it means. Let me give you a real moment. You're lying in bed at night, or you're in your car during a quiet drive, and suddenly you feel this wave of emotion about this person. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's sadness, maybe it's just this ache of missing what you had or what you thought you had. Some people try to push those feelings away. They think, I shouldn't still be affected by this. But what if those feelings are actually giving you information? This reflection invites you to consider What if you're feeling their regret, not just your own pain? What if on some level you're picking up on the emotional processing they're going through? Now here's where it gets complicated. When someone never meant to hurt you but did anyway, it creates this unique kind of pain. Because there's no villain, there's no clear person to blame, just someone who was careless or overwhelmed or dealing with their own stuff and couldn't show up the way you needed. It's possible this person is realizing now, I was so caught up in my own world that I didn't see what I was doing to them. And that realization, it can be devastating. In some situations, people carry that kind of regret for years, decades even, because they know they lost something real because of their own limitations. Does this feel true for your situation? Let me ask you something else. Have you been seeing signs of this person lately? Not literally running into them, but their name appearing in unexpected places, songs that remind you of them, or people who look like them from behind and your heart jumps for a second. Some people experience this as the universe sending messages. But what if it's simpler than that? What if you're just hyper aware right now because there's unresolved energy between you? When someone is thinking about you intensely, processing emotions about you, it can create this heightened awareness on your end. Not in a supernatural way, just in that very natural way where humans are attuned to people who matter to them. Here's what I'm seeing for some of you. This person didn't intend to hurt you. They really didn't. But intention doesn't erase impact. And they're starting to understand that now. Maybe they thought you'd be fine. Maybe they thought it wasn't a big deal. Maybe they minimized what happened because facing the full weight of it was too uncomfortable. But now they can't minimize it anymore. It's possible they're lying awake at night thinking about you, wondering if you're okay, wondering if you hate them, wondering if there's any way to undo what they did. And the answer is they can't undo it. None of us can undo the past, but we can acknowledge it. We can take responsibility. We can try to make amends. The question is, will they? Let's talk about what sadness looks like when someone is processing what they've lost. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's just this quiet ache, this background feeling of something's missing. Some people don't even connect it to you at first. They just feel off, unsettled, like something in their life isn't right. And then slowly it dawns on them. Oh, it's them. I miss them. I messed that up. You may be dealing with someone who's in that dawning phase right now, where the pieces are finally clicking together and they're really seeing what they lost when they lost you. How does that land for you? Comment and let me know. Now, I need to be honest with you about something. Just because someone feels regret doesn't mean they'll act on it. Just because they're sad about what happened doesn't mean they'll reach out. And just because they never meant to hurt you doesn't mean you owe them anything. This reflection invites you to hold space for complexity. You can acknowledge that they're probably struggling. You can recognize that they likely didn't intend the harm they caused. And you can still protect yourself. You can still maintain boundaries. You can still choose not to let them back in. Their regret is theirs to carry, not yours to fix. Let me give you another real moment. You're scrolling through old photos or messages, and you come across something from them, a conversation, a picture, and there's this pang in your chest, this reminder of what you had. Some people do this as a way of keeping the pain fresh, of not letting themselves heal. But what if you're actually doing it to process, to remember both the good and the bad so you can see the whole picture clearly? It's possible you need to remember that they weren't all bad, that there were real moments, real connection, and that what happened doesn't erase that, but it does change it. Can you hold both truths at once? Here's something I want you to understand. When someone is filled with regret and sadness about hurting you, it doesn't automatically mean reconciliation is the right path. It doesn't mean you should take them back or give them another chance. What it means is they're human, they're flawed, they made mistakes, and now they're living with the consequences. And you get to decide with full autonomy what role they play in your life moving forward. Maybe that's none, maybe that's limited, maybe in rare cases it's rebuilding something new. But you remain in control of that choice. Trust your inner knowing on this. Let me ask you this. What would it mean for you to know, really know, that they regret what happened? Would it change anything for you? Would it bring closure? Or would it just complicate things further? Some people think they need to hear someone's regret to move on. But then when they finally hear it, they realize it doesn't actually change how they feel, because the hurt already happened. The trust was already broken. And regret, while meaningful, doesn't rebuild what was lost. You may be in a position where their regret matters less than you thought it would, where what you actually need is your own sense of completion, independent of anything they feel or say. Is that where you are? Here's what happens when someone carries regret for a long time. It can eat at them, it can show up in other relationships, it can make them hesitant to get close to people because they're afraid of hurting someone else the way they hurt you. In some situations, this leads to growth. They learn, they do better, they become more aware and intentional. But in others, they just stay stuck in guilt and shame and never actually change. It's possible the person you're thinking of is at a crossroads right now, where they could choose to learn from this and evolve, or stay paralyzed by what they did. But that's their journey, not yours. Let's sit with something for a moment. There's this idea that if someone truly cared, they would fight for you. They would reach out. They would make it right. And sometimes that's true. But sometimes people care deeply and still don't reach out because they're convinced you're better off without them. You may be dealing with someone who's telling themselves, I already hurt them enough. The best thing I can do is stay away, even though part of them desperately wants to try again. This reflection invites you to consider, do you want them to reach out? Or have you already moved past the point where that would matter? Now I want to talk about forgiveness because I think it's relevant here. You don't have to forgive someone just because they feel regret. You don't have to absolve them of responsibility just because they're sad about what happened. Forgiveness, if it comes, is a gift you give yourself. It's a release of the weight you've been carrying. But it doesn't require you to forget. It doesn't require you to reconcile. And it definitely doesn't require you to prioritize their feelings over your own healing. Some people are experiencing right now this pressure to forgive, to be understanding, to make space for this person's regret. But what if you're not ready? What if you need more time? Or what if you're just done? All of that is valid. You get to move at your own pace. Let me give you one more real moment. You run into someone who knows both of you, and they mention this person casually. Oh, I saw them the other day. They asked about you, and your stomach drops. because now you know. They're still thinking about you. They still care enough to ask, but they're not reaching out directly. And you're left wondering, what does that mean? Some people interpret that as cowardice, as someone who wants the comfort of knowing you're okay without actually doing the work to make things right. And maybe that's true. Or maybe they're just genuinely uncertain about whether contact would help or hurt. You may never know their exact reasoning. And that uncertainty, it's part of what you have to make peace with. Comment below and tell me, do you want this person to reach out, or are you done waiting? Here's what I need you to hear. Whether this person is filled with regret or not, whether they're sad or not, whether they meant to hurt you or not, you still deserve better than what you got from them. You deserve someone who shows up consistently, who communicates, who considers your feelings before making decisions that affect you. And if this person couldn't be that, their regret doesn't change that fact. It's possible to have compassion for their struggle while still honoring your own boundaries, to wish them well from a distance while keeping yourself protected. You don't owe them access to you just because they're sorry. Before we close, I want to leave you with this. Regret is a teacher for them and for you. They're learning, hopefully, about the impact of their choices, about the importance of intentionality in relationships, about how easy it is to lose something precious through carelessness. And you're learning about your own resilience, about your capacity to survive hurt and keep going, about what you will and won't accept in your life moving forward. Both lessons are valuable. Both matter. But they don't have to intersect again for the learning to be complete. So here's what I want you to do. After this video, take a quiet moment and ask yourself, what do I actually need from this situation to feel at peace? And if the answer doesn't involve this person at all, if it's something you can give yourself, do that. Don't wait for them to provide something only you can create. You remain in control. You have the power, and whatever they're feeling, it doesn't define your path forward. Thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting yourself enough to listen. I'll see you in the next one. Take what resonates and trust your inner knowing.